If you want to focus on the biggest storms we've ever had here in West Michigan, you have to go back to the last century. The only F5 tornado ever to occur in West Michigan was the Hudsonville-Standale tornado of April 3, 1956. That twister cut a path over 50 miles long through Ottawa, Kent, and Montcalm counties. 17 people lost their lives that day, and another 340 were injured. Winds were estimated to be over 200 miles an hour. And in fact, the strongest wind anywhere on Earth in calendar year 1956 occurred on Van Buren Street in Hudsonville, Michigan. Cars were lifted higher than telephone poles, carried hundreds of yards through the air, and mangled beyond recognition. Tiles were ripped off floors and trees were totally debarked. Three other strong tornadoes hit West Michigan that day. A powerful F4 rated tornado came right off Lake Michigan and destroyed the Saugatuck Lighthouse. Another F4 cut a path 50 miles long from north of Manistee to Grand Traverse Bay. And a strong F3 tornado moved along a 55-mile path from Bangor to just south of Lowell. One of the deadliest tornado outbreaks occurred on Palm Sunday in 1965. A total of 47 tornadoes struck in 6 Midwestern states, including 12 twisters here in Michigan. Across the Midwest, there were 271 fatalities and 1,500 were injured. A tornado touched down near Allendale and intensified quickly to F4 strength, hitting Comstock Park and Rockford. The twister was on the ground for over 20 miles before lifting in Montcalm County. Two deadly tornadoes struck 30 minutes apart that day in Branch and Hillsdale counties. One of those tornadoes had a path of over 90 miles and the second over 80 miles. 21 people lost their lives, over 550 homes and 100 cottages were destroyed by just those two twisters. On April 21, 1967, a fierce F3 tornado cut a path from Granville to East Grand Rapids. There were 32 people injured. A total of 10 tornadoes struck west and central Michigan that day. A tornado hit Kalamazoo on May 13, 1980. The twister first touched down right on the edge of Van Buren County and moved right into the downtown area, uprooting huge trees in Bronson Park. That storm was on the ground for at least 11 miles and was responsible for 5 fatalities and 79 injuries. The worst severe thunderstorm ever to hit West Michigan occurred in the early morning hours of May 31, 1998. Called a derecho, this line of thunderstorms traveled 975 miles from South Dakota all the way to the Atlantic Ocean in just 15 hours. It moved through lower Michigan at 70 miles an hour. Winds were estimated to be 130 miles an hour at both Walker and Spring Lake. The storm caused 4 fatalities and 146 injuries. Now, that total could have been much worse if not for the storm hitting at 5 a.m. when most people were indoors in safe locations. The storm left 860,000 customers without electricity in lower Michigan. Now, in 1950, less than 74,000 people lived in Ottawa County. Today, the population has soared to 291,000. Tornadoes and severe thunderstorms that moved over open farmland 60 years ago would today hit sprawling residential communities. Now get this, from 1953 to 1977, we had a dozen tornadoes that were ranked F4 or F5. Since 1977, we have had none. We're certainly overdue for a significant tornado to strike somewhere in lower Michigan.